Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Internet. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you. It's my weekly TV, my weekly comic book roundup. It's a bit later than normal. It's been a busy couple days, and hopefully we'll get back on track starting next week. Anywho, this week we got about half a dozen books to go through. So let's start at the top with all new Deadpool #1. Written by normally artist Scotty Young. Anyway, begins in New York City, rundown theater. Deadpool's watching a tear-jerking film, obvious Oscar bait, called Best Friends Buds, and chowing down on popcorn. And he's having a blast while people are walking out on the movie. In the middle of things, the cell phone rings because, well, are you really going to tell Deadpool to turn his cell phone off in the movie theater? Yeah, would hope, but would you expect him to actually follow through? Not so much. Anyway, so Negasonic Teenage Warhead is calling to let him know that she's got a job for him, and they banter back and forth. And a biker in the theater, hollers at him to get off his phone. Now he's on the clock. So he starts a fight, tells everyone who's not involved with the group, to go ahead and mosey on out the exit. He's going to take care of these bikers. One of them gets up and is, huge. And so Deadpool does what he figures is a smart thing and shoots him in the chest. It doesn't do any good. Guy actually pulls the bullet out and flicks it back at Deadpool. And then punches him out of the theater. And proceeds to beat the shit out of him. I mean, beats the shit out of him. Look at that shit. Yeah. Anyway. Deadpool, of course, gets back up and it's to say, job isn't a failure. It's not done, but it's not a failure. And when he, of course, the crack is made out of pouches, so Deadpool says the pouches can carry all manner of things, including grenades, which he wraps a bunch around the guy's head and pulls the pins. Small explosion, and a mostly naked Deadpool walks out of the explosion and explains that, when put up against an empowered individual, there is an extra fee that comes into play. Well, instead, guy refuses to pay the fee, so Deadpool takes his bike. And it turns out that the biker who yelled at him in the theater, hanging up his phone, is in fact the person who hired him. So anyways, he goes back to Croton-on-Hudson, a little town outside of New York City where his office is. And he basically makes stuffed animal underwear, which, yeah. Anyway, plunks down the money. Again, more banter with Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Red Slate. Then, little size in outer space, the space and stuff. The Guardians are playing Monopolize and having an argument about rules. And then Groot calls him, and there's a ginormous celestial on on a space cycle coming out through some kind of interstellar portal. It's actually pretty flippin' awesome looking. And so Star-Lord calls up Tony Stark, and in the middle of dinner with the Avengers. So of course Tony tells him that, no one. It's just me here to see you cry. And so it turns out that there's only one thing that can destroy the Celestial. Grofin the Regurger. There's only one thing that can stop him. And one person has it. And that would be Deadpool. That's where the A story ends. Oh, and Deadpool is actually trying to now sell his idea of stuffed animal underpants to whoever wants to, go for it. Shark Tank told him no, and well, hey, Roxxon, they got vision. Right, so there's also a B story, which kind of Deadpool decides he needs a new origin, sympathetic backstory, because he's not. Well, let's be honest. Yeah. First, we get a Hulk-style origin. No. Then we get a Spider-Man origin, which somehow a spider bites him and gives him Deadpool powers and swords, because that totally makes sense. Superman origin, where he's being taught how to kill from day one. Briefly considers a Batman-style origin, but he maybe implies that maybe he killed a very rich couple in front of their young son. Give him the advice of when he gets to college, use this whole situation as a sob story to pick up ladies at bars. Dead parents kill. And yeah, maybe he actually did do something. Maybe he actually did kill a rich couple, and their kid is now beating up bad guys and writing "good night" on walls in blood, like so. Yes, most stories will be continued. So that's new Deadpool number one. I'm kind of enjoying the whole. So now Deadpool has no memory. It's the best way to redo things possible. Of course, characters will pop up as the series goes on, and basically remind Deadpool of things that he did and has made himself forget about. But for now, we're back to the normal Deadpool shenanigans. Anyways, moving on to The Hunt for Wolverine, Weapon Lost, number 2. So, Cypher has pointed the team towards their first lead. They've got lead is not exactly the best way to put it. Quite a few leads the world over. And now he goes through, and now he's got to put them through filters, and they do manage to at least cut down the number of leads quite a bit. So Daredevil kind of notices the way that Frank McGee and Misty are interacting. We also have a bit taking place in Saskatchewan, Canada. A couple of Rangers are holed up in in a cabin watching for someone. They get a picture of someone in the McCarthy Medical Institute. They brought flowers for someone, but they can't really get any information. In Phoenix, a biker gang claims that their leader was cut up a bit by Wolverine, but, well, the scars are in groups of 4, not 3. So, for a bit of a fight, that turned out to be a dead end. Chicago, Misty talks to a security guard who claimed on Twitter to have met Wolverine. Guy, turns out, however, was telling a tall tale to get the likes on Twitter. That's all. Back at the cabin, someone with 3 claws busts through one of the barricades. Meanwhile, they have sent out a call for help. It's garbled, but that's now where they're headed. They get there and find a bunch of dead bodies, but realize that the person who sent the message isn't there, so they go after her. They realized, however, it was quickly that it was a ruse. And Cypher, checking out the cabin, gets his throat slit by this mysterious 3-clawed attacker. And that's where the issue ends. I'm enjoying this, but it's not like I'm more curious to see where it goes than what happens then. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to, well, bulk of the books this week were X books. We'll start off with Weapon X number 19. So last issue, the Weapon X team went to Russia and ran a bit of foul over Omega Red. And the prisoners in the prison he was in. Meanwhile, and so Red took Sabretooth prisoner and they went off in the woods together. And ended up finding some tigers. Deathstrike and Domino follow the trail, find the dead tigers, and get it as well as Sabretooth's cell phone. And Deathstrike basically informs whoever Sabretooth's contact is that he's not the only merc on the team. Meanwhile, Omega Red and Sabretooth are a bit more buddy-buddy than they were. It turns out that Omega Red's target is a general who's supposed to be killed as part of a massacre that, so it looks like an accident, not an assassination. Meanwhile, it turns out that Director of Sickle is Omega Red's brother. And he's communicating with Red. So, of course, Sabretooth having been in similar situations to Omega Red, gets what's going on. So, but they decided to work together. Go out, and instead of going after the general, they go after the Titanium Men armors that she's testing. Meanwhile, Warpath loads the prisoners onto the Weapon X's ship, and finds out that Old Man Logan's healing factor ain't working so well. And then Deathstrike and Domino managed to catch up with Omega Red and Sabretooth, stop Red from killing the General. Though it turns out that the General is a mutant with hydrokinesis. And you kind of have and Sabretooth actually kind of sets things up. Kind of hey, look, let's work together. And then you got the mutant prisoners of the border, though Warpath informs Domino that Logan ain't doing too good. And Domino informs Warpath of their status, that they're basically cutting Omega Red open so that Deathstrike can deactivate his nanites. She can only do it outside of his body. So yeah. And next up, they're going to be taking the fight to Sickle. Next on the list is X-Men Gold number 29. Continuing the Till Death Do Us Part story. We get Colossus is a prisoner of the mutant of the Sentinel AI, which now calls itself Alpha, and Lydia Nance, and is imprisoned in a Roxxon station. The X-Men have borrowed a rocket from Alpha Flight, however, and crash landed on the station. The issue begins with a flashback to when Peter died curing the legacy virus. Cut back to now, and Alpha discovers that it turns out that Colossus's X gene is altered, but Alpha is taking the liberty of restoring the genome to its original state. The procedure can be harrowing. Kitty goes after Colossus while the rest of the team takes on Alpha's additional Sentinels. Of course, Alpha is immune to being phased through, but everything else isn't. So, the procedure was completed just 0.3 of a second before she arrived, and we'll make Earthfall in just under 5 minutes, with about 16 minutes leading to the death of all mutants on the planet. And Alpha leaves after activating the station's auto-destruct sequence. By the way, I look at the station, which looks a bit familiar as a Star Trek fan. It's basically Deep Space Nine. I actually got a chuckle out of that one. So Storm grabs her as Guardian Hammer and goes after, does what she can to stop the virus from being redistributed to Earth. Gets a good chunk of it taken care of, as Alpha Flight also takes care, or helps, but Pyro, surfing on the X-Jet, also does what he can. And then Sasquatch shows up with yet another Alpha Flight ship, just as the first stage of self-destruct begins. Some damage to the ship, and Sasquatch is knocked out. But anyways, so they manage to Pyro and Storm manage to get rid of what's left of the virus, and the remaining X-Men try to figure out how they're getting off the station, because both Rogue and Sasquatch, two other heavy hitters, are down. So Colossus has to metal up. Manages to free the ship. And get aboard, barely. While Gambit pilots the vessel out. Later on, the Triskelion, Iceman talks with Nance, and Alpha shows up, though Iceman freezes him in place. But it was more a drone than actually Alpha. And it becomes official that yes, they are totally getting married. And the next issue will be the wedding. All right, good issue. I'm presuming that the wedding will be the 5th part of Till Death Do Us Part, because, well, yeah. Anyways, moving on to X-Men Red, number 5. Wow, we're already number 5. Hard to believe. Shut up, Tablet. So, Cassandra Nova is continuing to manipulate world leaders into signing anti-mutant laws. However, not all humans are down with this, so they kind of let people know, hey, this has just been signed into law. Get out of the country. Meanwhile, in Louisiana, the guy that got injured in the fight with Gambit is in the hospital being held for murder. Some talking heads this debate whether or not it should be, and that should be the case. Is he acting in self-defense? Was he, what? Gambit sneaks in to talk to the guy. Turns out, however, he's not the only one who snuck in. As Nightcrawler, Jean, and Trinary are there. Trinary manages to deactivate the nanites in his head. And it makes the guy realize that, and which now he's like, he's feeling regret about that he killed someone. Nightcrawler teleports in dude's dad. They talk a bit, and then dad gets bamped back out. Meanwhile, and Gambit kind of gets recruited to the squad. Though when he meets the rest of them, he almost attacks their Sentinel, which has been redecorated. Turns out that When you take out all the mutant murdering weapons from the Sentinel, it becomes surprisingly roomy. So they go to do what they can to save some of the mutants at the edge of the ball in Poland. There's a bit of a fight. Jean makes everyone makes most of everyone see these things through each other's eyes. You know, some still are just like, okay, fine. Some don't care, but then Namor pops up and basically explains that the president of Poland would like to continue safely trading and flying over his waters, and he suggests that pull back from the coast. So they get everyone in and head to Atlantis. That's where the issue ends. We also get another 20 years from now vignette with the X-Men fighting Sentinels in Atlantis. And Jean finds out that at the mansion, Storm, Kitty, everyone's dead. And there's nowhere to run. That, it turns out, will be part of the extermination story that's coming beginning in July or August. Next up, we've got Astonishing X-Men number 12, the finale of the story A Man Called X. So, turns out I was actually wrong. Shadow King did not take control of Phantom X pretending to be Xavier. He just hid in Phantom X's head. So the Shadow King gets out and psychically attacks everyone with the exception of Psylocke. Causing Logan to stab himself after he forcing him to relive killing the X-Men. Bishop kind of knows that the Mind Killer apocalypse is the end of the world, and he let it happen. Gambit tries to find a way out. Basically, kind of saying, this is the last hand. However it ends, he loses. Rogue and Mystique have basically kind of have we're no one and decide to be no one together. Angel calls himself a fallen angel, and then X puts his head back together and fights the Shadow King with alongside, well, everyone. And once again, they defeat the Shadow King until, the next time they decide to trot him back out. Phantom is Phantom sticks to being X. whatever bit of the Shadow King was in him is gone. And X gives everyone a gift. Warren gets the choice. Be the angel, be the archangel, as you will, as you need. Or just be Warren, as you need. Gambit is given purpose, is that the Phantom X remains unpaid. Find him, balance the ledger. Mystique and Rogue are given understanding. They are not no one. They are not nothing. On the outside, they are everyone. Inside, they are them. Raven and Anna Marie. They exist, both of them. Bishop is given permission. Set aside his endless vigil. Be part of the world that he strives so desperately to save. Logan, vision, see the good that he does. He comes from darkness. The shadows reach to behind you, but only because you walk toward the light. And it seems like he makes them forget the events that they've just been through. Except for Psylocke. She will remember. Also, she'll keep X honest. And he explains that while Charles Xavier's dream was the school, X's dream is different. But the next issue, we'll be getting Colossus, Warpath, Beast, Dazzler, and Havoc for a new mission. But that might be spoiling a bit of the next book, which is also the last book of the week. Dazzler #1. Pretty sure this is a one-shot because I haven't seen any solicits for future issues of Dazzler. I don't think I have. I have to relook at Marvel previews. Anywho, so for those unaware, Dazzler was introduced as a cash-in on disco and its popularity. She's a pop star, former pop star, and often X-Man. She's also been a revolutionary on Mojo World. She's done a lot of stuff. So, issue begins kind of going back and forth between a couple of young women getting ready to go to a band's show, the band being Lightbringer with the Stickets, and said band getting ready for a show. Turns out that the two girls we saw at the beginning are Inhumans, and not all mutants are as forgiving as others. And so they go to the show. Turns out that one of them has light burst powers and that they're not flaring out wildly. They're going exactly where she wants them to go. After the show, Colossus meets Dazzler at her van. They talk a bit. Basically, he invites her to rejoin the X-Men. She's like, nah, I'm good. He explains that if she changed her mind or she just wants to visit. Meanwhile, some mutants decide they want to fight they want to start something with our two Inhuman friends. Dazzler stops them and explains that everyone's trying to have a good time tonight. Everyone. No gene test for admission, no NIE Inhuman nonsense. Basically, kind of say, you get in the way of that, you're no fan of mine. and turns out that they're part of a group called Mutant Action. They're an anti-inhuman street gang, basically, and they're going to be at every single one of Dazzler's shows because Dazzler's kind of a mutant icon, and they don't want to see non-mutants at a and it's of course the fights kind of pick up more, and one of them finds one of the members of Mutant Action's got a power dampener. Though Dazzler kind of gets in the way of that. And basically explains that she's like taking no shit from mutant supremacists at her show. And then once again, Colossus meets up with Dazzler outside the show and gives her an old X-Men communicator that she puts in the back of her, which she puts in the trunk of her vehicle, and well, that's that. So anyway, it's this really kind of, I think this, if anything, kind of served as a means of getting Dazzler back into things, because she kind of been absent for a while. But anyway, it was cool seeing her back. I dig Dazzler. I especially like her as the revolutionary that helped to try and liberate Mojo World, but hey, that can only go so far. Anyway, once again, I'm really sorry that this had to wait a day and a half, almost two. Well, yeah, we'll call it a day and a half. Next week. You know what? Next week we might actually be early. I try timing it a bit different so that we're going live in the afternoon. But we'll see. Either way, next Wednesday will happen on Wednesday, not on Friday, not on Thursday, on Saturday, on Wednesday. Anywho, once again, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook and Twitter pages are in the, as well as my Patreon, are in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.